Nation of Fit in 10, welcome to day 9 of the challenge. And if you don't already know, your numbers were sent out yesterday. Not a lot of change unless maybe we talked about it. With the exception of I did update your heart rate values and your intervals. Reminder that that is just those numbers. Your heart rate, your cardio numbers, okay, your heart rate, your intervals. Those are just minimums that I want you to shoot for, okay? So if you get those minimums, I'm fine with it. If you want to do more, I'm totally good with it. If you want to do more cardio, that's fine. Also, reminder that with all foods that are non-liquids, all right, this includes nut butters or any kind of butters for that matter. This includes yogurts, soups. These need to be well, no, not soups. Excuse me. Leave that out. All solid foods, they need to be weighed out. Okay, weighed out. So if in your food journal I see a volume measurement, or I see whatever half of something, or a large whatever, like a large banana, or whatever, half medium pear or something like that, that is not accurate enough. We need to weigh it out, okay? So weigh out all your solid foods. And if you're having a hard time getting in all your macros, my suggestion is, and this comes from the very first day, if you remember, mind you, we did get cut off, so I think we got cut off right at the point where I was explaining this. And I can't remember if we got back to it or not, but hopefully we did. The best thing you can do is determine how many meals you want to have for the day, or how many meals you think you're going to have for the day. So let's just say you eat 4 times. Take your macros and just divide them by 4. And then make each meal fit that. Okay? And then, if you find that you're short on protein for one of those meals, just add in more of that protein source. Whether it's Greek yogurt or whatever, cottage cheese, or I don't know, egg white or chicken breast or steak or fish or tofu or whatever. Add more of that protein strong food in. The same thing goes for fats or carbohydrates. Okay, so you just have to add in whatever you're short on. Just add more of that food in. Okay. And it will get easier as it goes on. All right. And there are foods that are, I realize that there are going to be some foods where if you add in some protein, you're adding in some fat as well. Or if you add in, some fat, like let's say some nuts or whatever, you're adding in some fat, but yeah, you're getting a little more protein, and yes, you're getting some carbohydrates. But generally speaking, foods are high, very high in one macronutrient only, okay? So again, figure out the amount of meals you want to have for the day, take your macros, divide it by those number of meals that you want to have, and then make each meal fit, roughly speaking, make each meal fit the macros that you've set out. And then that way you can kind of go through your day and you're not going to be drastically behind, or drastically over for that matter, in any particular macronutrient. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Feedback, so let's get into it. Let's start getting into some more feedback here. This person writes or asks, is it okay to add more workouts besides the recommended one? Yes, you can add in more workouts. Just be careful with this, okay? So again, it's all about happy medium for the foregoing future. All right. Now, if you're just saying, can I be more extreme just for the challenge? Sure, you can, right? But I mean, this is not going to last. All right. Chances are it won't last. The more extreme we are, the less likely it's going to carry on for a long period of time. So yeah, if you want to add in, a workout, if you want to add in another resistance-based workout, sure. I don't think there's any issue. That 4 is a lot, especially if you haven't done any resistance training for a while. Is it okay to do the non-Fit in 10 sessions due to scheduling? Yes, totally fine. You don't have to do the Fit in 10 classes. This person writes, I had previous beginner experience in weightlifting for competitive sports and find some of the exercises to be either very easy, familiar, or super difficult. Never done them before. Should I still aim for the fit and tens as a priority? Okay, so this is all part of the same question. Probably should have just read the whole question altogether. No, so just, like I said, because the fit and ten classes are a little bit slower, if anything. So if you find that an exercise is easy, and I don't know quite, okay, actually, no, you do specify. You say familiar. So by easy, you mean familiar. That's okay if an exercise is familiar. I do exercises that I'm familiar with. I've been doing exercises I'm familiar with for years. God knows how many times I've squatted or I've pressed or whatever. But if you're finding it in terms of execution really, really easy, then we need to increase the intensity, or you need to increase the intensity, okay? So how do we increase the intensity? Well, of course, there's the obvious one, right? We increase the resistance, we increase the amount of weight. But before we go there, let's look at things like range of motion. So are you getting full range of motion? Could you perhaps be a little bit slower or concentrated on the eccentric portion of the movement? So eccentric portion would be the portion where, this is not going to mean anything to you. It's where the muscle lengthens, but generally speaking, it's on the way down. Okay, so on the way down, not for all movements, but most movements, on the way down, are you under control? Okay, could you go slower on the way down? A third thing you can do to make it more intense is you can focus on squeezing the muscles. So trying to connect to whatever muscles you're working at hand and try to actively squeeze them. Okay, another way we can affect the intensity, and this sort of goes back to tempo when I talked about eccentrics, going slow on eccentrics. You can pause at, for example, the bottom of a movement, okay, or the mid-range of a movement. Now, generally, we would tell you to do this. You wouldn't just do this on your own. But these are all ways we can add intensity. We can make the movement harder, aside from adding weight. Of course, we could do more reps, right? And we can shorten time between sets. But generally, I have you guys all doing a certain, generally, I have this set out for you. So, coming back to the first few points I mentioned, range of motion and control, first and foremost. If those are good, okay, and you're able to get all the reps in and you feel like, I'm not even close to a 10 out of 10, I'm a 5 out of 10 for intensity, we can increase the resistance perhaps, okay? Hopefully that helps you. Not 8 minutes? Really? Jeez Louise. Okay, so let's get to the message of the day. It never surprises me, or I should say, it's actually the opposite of that. It always seems to surprise me how much I can talk. All right, message of the day. This is a process. That is the message of the day. This is a process. The whole thing is a process. Everything that you're doing with regards to the challenge is leading you to improvements, and it's about a little bit every day. I've said this before, I'll keep saying it many, many times, and it's so important that you do these little things every day, okay? Everything counts as well, okay? Everything counts. So, part of this process is not necessarily a reflection of every workout's going to be better. It doesn't necessarily mean that every day your weight's going to be lower, but over time, your performance in the gym will improve. Over time, your body fat levels will go down. Over time, you're gonna get stronger, okay? This is a process. It takes time, it takes patience. I know some of you are weighing yourselves at home, okay? Your weight will fluctuate day to day, hour to hour. And so just know that, that's not really an accurate reflection of what's going on, okay? We are not static beings, but over time, it is all about the trajectory, right? The pattern of progression, right? Not necessarily exactly where you are at this moment, okay? This whole thing is a process and everything counts. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. 10 minutes, Jesus.